Our story about genetics starts in a peaceful monastery garden in Brno in the Czech Republic. This is where Gregor Mendel, a monk, did experiments that changed how we understand how we inherit things from our parents. Back in the mid-1800s, people didn't know much about how traits like eye color or height were passed down. There were lots of guesses, but not much real science. Mendel was very careful and observant. He picked a simple plant for his experiments, the pea plant. Peas were perfect because they have easy-to-see traits like flower color, seed shape, and how tall they grow. Mendel carefully crossed thousands of pea plants, writing down everything about the parents and their offspring, generation after generation. He kept really good records, like a true scientist. This set the stage for a huge change in how we understand heredity. In his rows of pea plants, Mendel saw patterns like math ratios. These patterns showed that there were rules about how traits are inherited. He didn't know it then, but his work in that quiet garden would create a whole new area of science genetics. Mendel's experiments showed that traits weren't mixed together like people thought. Instead, they were passed down as separate units, which we now call genes. He figured out that each parent gives one copy of each gene to their child. These genes can come in different forms called alleles. Some alleles are dominant and some are recessive. A dominant allele, like the one for yellow peas, hides a recessive allele, like the one for green peas. That's why if you cross a pure yellow pea plant with a pure green pea plant, all the babies will be yellow. But the green allele isn't gone. It shows up again in the next generation when those yellow offspring are crossed. Mendel's work led to his laws of inheritance, the law of segregation and the law of independent assortment. The law of segregation says that each parent gives one allele for each trait, and these alleles separate when sperm and egg cells are made. The law of independent assortment says that one trait, like pea color, doesn't affect another trait, like pea shape. These big ideas, published in 1866, were the first clear explanation of how traits get passed down. Even though Mendel's work was super important, other scientists didn't pay much attention. They weren't ready to understand his ideas. Mendel's work was published in a small journal and was mostly forgotten for decades. The world wasn't ready for the big changes Mendel had started. It wasn't until the 1900s, over 30 years after Mendel died, that his work was rediscovered. Scientists like Hugo de Vries, Carl Correns, and Erich von Tischermark, all working separately, found Mendel's forgotten paper. They saw how brilliant his work was and what it meant for understanding life itself. Rediscovering Mendel's laws was like the birth of modern genetics. Scientists started testing his ideas with other plants and animals and found they worked everywhere. This set the stage for a century of amazing discoveries about the secrets hidden in our genes. Finding Mendel's work again sparked tons of new research that still helps us understand how life works. In 1953, James Watson and Francis Crick discovered the double helix structure of DNA. This shape, like a twisted ladder, holds the secrets of how our genes are stored, copied, and passed down. Discovering DNA's structure led to a revolution in biotechnology. Scientists could finally study genes directly, leading to breakthroughs in reading gene sequences, genetic engineering, and gene therapy. The Human Genome Project, finished in 2003, was a huge step. It mapped out all of human DNA. Today, we're learning so much about genetics. Gene editing tools like CRISPR-Cas9 might let us cure genetic diseases, and personalized medicine can create treatments based on your specific genes. As we learn more about our genome, we remember the important work of Mendel in that quiet garden. His story shows the power of looking closely, wanting to learn, and the impact of a humble monk who asked simple questions that unlocked the secrets of life.